What's going on, guys? It's a rainy Sunday afternoon here in Florida. I'll give you guys a little update on the car. Not much has changed. I just started building this. I'm gonna start building this upper cowl panel. And the way I'm doing it is, this is two pieces. There's a seam right here. I'm going to TIG weld this. But you just get this stuff and you put it in the shrinker right here. This is a shrinker if you don't know what it is. Shrinker stretcher. Got little teeth in there. They're either gonna pull the metal together, which would shrink it, or they're gonna stretch the metal apart. And basically, you just got like you just take a piece of metal like that. You stick it in here. And then you push the handle down and it'll do whatever you want, and you kind of move it. And it'll bend it this way, or it'll bend it this way out. And so I got the curve perfect, you know, got it where I wanted it. And what I'll do is I'll come in here and I'll cut this out right here. All the way, I got the line right on here. You kind of see my line. So I'll cut this out all the way up to here, cut it out along there, down, back, then I'll weld this in flush, and then what I'll do, well actually I'm going to weld this in slightly under flush, if that makes sense. Essentially the thickness of a piece of metal under flush, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece that I cut out, I'm going to cut a new piece, and that's going to sit on top of this. So when I weld this in, this is going to be a flange for the new piece to lay on top of. There'll be a piece of round bar that I'll start from here, and I'll bend it, the round bar, in the same shape that this is in, and I'm gonna weld it in here, and then on the same place on the other side over here, and that'll give this, and then the piece of round bar will give something for that metal to sit on, because I want it to be nice and smooth. And so when you go to weld that all the way in, it's gonna want to warp a lot. So this round bar here and then this flange here are gonna give it some strength, and gonna hopefully keep it from warping too much. So that's my plan on that. And then once I got this welded in here, then I have to make a lip for the top right here, and I'm gonna cut all this out and basically do the same thing, you know, down here that I did up here, because I'll have a flange on this side and that round bar will still be on here. So I'll be able to do the same thing to this side that I did to this side. And that's where I'm at right now. I still haven't messed with that yet. I've been working on the wheels. I got my rims all done. They just need to be painted. I'll show you those probably in another video once they're all painted. But one other thing I wanted to go over is some of my buddies came by and we were talking, and both of them had the same idea, and it's a pretty good idea, because since I'm not going to run wipers and this area is closed off, the consensus is, why even mess with rebuilding this bottom piece, because I really don't need it. And technically I don't even need these outer cowls. I'm probably gonna save these though, because aesthetically I like the way it looks. But I think they're right. The only thing this is needed for is to bolt steering wheel and to give a little extra support to where your master cylinder bolts into your firewall. But I can add a reinforcement plate to that. So I'm going to cut this straight down from here, and I'm probably going to leave a little bit of a lip on the top because it's all good metal, and cut it like all the way around right there. That'll give me something to weld that lip to, and all that'll be gone. So I'm going to get rid of all this. That'll save me a lot of time. I mean, essentially what I had to do is do the same thing I did up here to refabricate this lip, and then I would have had to make a couple patch pieces right here. So it wasn't like too much work, but there's no real need for it, and it's basically going to become an empty hole that nothing goes in other than moisture and everything else to collect in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of all that and save myself some time. And that's the plan on that. One of the other things I've been doing, I kept messing with that other welder that I bought, that other MIG that I bought. I couldn't get it to work. So I went out and I bought a new MIG. Here it is. I bought a Lincoln. It's a pretty sweet one. It's the Lincoln 260. It's pretty dope. It's all digital. How cool is that? Ready, set, weld. So a lot of time was spent messing with that other welder and getting this welder and welding up my wheels, and I might show those to you in a video maybe next week. But I welded these gussets in. I cut all these gussets out. I think I got some pictures of that. I'll put them in right here. But this one's ground down. That one, I still got to grind that one down. But they're plated all the way around it. There's plates all the way top and bottom. So this is super strong. This was a pretty weak part of the frame before. Now that's pretty strong, and there'll be 2 bars. I'll make an X bar that ties into this ladder bar mount to beef up the ladder bar mount and to add strength in between here. And I cut the roof off. I don't know if I showed you that. So I got the roof cut off. I got my bracing kit sitting up here. The old roof, I decided I'm not going to fix the old roof, so I threw it outside. Just for the simple fact that I got a lot of fab work ahead of me, and that's going to save me a lot of time. It's worth the money. I think they're like $300-400, but the old one was so bad and the body work would be so much on it that the money that I'm going to spend compared to the time that I save is outweighing the situation right now. So One thing I wanted to show you with this bracing kit, if anybody's interested in Camaros, they sent me a bracing kit for a '69 Camaro. I don't really care at this point. I just want to get it done. But the difference, if you're wondering, or ever was wondering, what the difference between a '69 Camaro bracing and a '67, '68 Camaro bracing is basically, if you look at this is a '69, this is a '67, '68. And the reason it's like that is because right here on the front, there's not much left of it. But you can see how it starts big, basically the same size as the '69, and then it tapers in smaller, and this sits right on the edge, so it's this wide. Now the difference on the '69 is the fact that it's this wide all the way down it, and they add this reinforcement brace on the inside. So if you want to get technical, I would assume that the '69 is stronger than the '67, '68 because it's wider, and it also has a reinforcement brace inside of it. Maybe they did that for a reason. I'm not sure. I do not know if you have to run a '69 headliner, considering that it now has '69 bracing, but I'll find that out and let you know. But just a little fact, if you're ever wondering, anybody out there is wondering. But here's all the bracing kit. Once I get that replaced, it'll be pretty nice. The roof's not going to go on for a while because I got to weld up the roll cage, and I have to, I'm going to add new bars, so there's a lot to be welded on there. So I'll change the bracing out, get the bracing welded in, and the roof won't go on till a lot later on down the road. And one thing I'm going to do, one thing you have to do with all this bracing is basically you gotta get to the back side of the bracing. I'm using what they call POR 15 on a lot of this rusty stuff. It's paint over rust 15, version 15 I assume. And you can paint right over this stuff. You gotta metal prep it and a few other things, but it's like a ceramic coating that won't chip or peel. It's really great stuff, and it's good for stuff like this. But there's no sense in painting it over this if you can't get to the back side of it. You have to coat the front, the whole piece, the front and the back side of a piece in order to stop the rust. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this out, this section right here out, because most of it's kind of rusty anyway. That way that'll allow me to get to the back side of it. And I'm also going to cut this quarter panel, probably like right here. Take the quarter panel off, that way I can get to the back side. And basically the idea is just to stop the rust. None of this stuff is structural anymore because it has a full cage and full frame. All this stuff, like Mike says, just along for the ride. So it's plenty structural without this piece. I might cut this out and then weld another piece back in, but I don't even think I would really even have to. Just cut like a window out that would allow me to get to the back side, the inside of the panel. I'll show you on the other side. The other side is a little easier to see because it's already rusted out. But so you got to get in here to this back side, which is actually pretty solid anyway, and it's fairly thick, so that's going to maintain most of my structural rigidity. But a lot of this stuff I'm just going to cut out, and I might weld in, maybe cut like most of it out, weld in like little braces, like vertical braces. But I don't think I'll weld the whole piece back in because it's not really needed. I'm going to have the whole cage, and the cage will probably tie in to the roof and to the side of the panel and beef everything up. It's going to have outriggers that go into the rockers. So basically the body is just along for the ride at this point. And plus anything to save weight, since it is a drag car, is going to help it out. But that's about it for this update. Like I said, I got the wheels. Wheels are pretty sweet, guys. Wait till you see these wheels. I think a lot of you guys are going to like the wheels. But that's all I got right now. Not a whole lot done. There's a whole lot done in other areas, just not a whole lot to show on this, but that's it. So I'll see you next week.